Oh, you're probably right.
Well, on the Fox 35 Money Watch this morning, when you gear up for retirement, you need to be very careful, especially when dealing with IRAs. Joe Bert from Certified Financial, the Oracle of Orlando, is here to help you avoid some costly mistakes. Good morning, Joe. So let's talk about IRAs. First of all, I know an IRA is an individual retirement account, but what is it?
Well, it's a way for people to accumulate money. You put money in on a pre-tax basis. In other words, the money that goes in doesn't show up on your W-2, so you don't pay taxes on that. And it'll continue to grow for you until retirement on a tax-deferred basis. You don't pay taxes on it until you withdraw it.
So what are some of the mistakes that people are making?
Well, there's several. First of all, on the required minimum distribution, when you get to be 70 and a half, the government says you need to start withdrawing because over all these years, you haven't paid any taxes, so now it's time to pay up. So when you get to be 70 and a half, you have to start withdrawing from your account. And there's a severe penalty if you don't take the money out.
What about taking money out before you're supposed to, before you get to retirement age?
Well, if you can take money out if you become disabled, okay, but that's pretty much it. And if you take it out before 59 and a half, you have to pay a 10% penalty plus the taxes. After 59 and a half, the 10% penalty goes away, you just pay the taxes. When you get to be 70 and a half, if you don't take out what we call the RMD, the required minimum distributions that we just talked about, the government's going to hit you with a 50% penalty plus the taxes.
Wow.
So it's ugly. You have to stay on top of this stuff. Yeah,
you got to pay very close attention. So as you're going along with your IRA, other than making sure you do these things, what are some things you need to do and keep track of?
Well, you want to be careful that you have the right beneficiaries. What we see oftentimes is people name their estate as a beneficiary. They may name a trust as a beneficiary. Those are what we call non-qualified beneficiaries because they don't have a lifetime, a lifespan. So the government wants to know when this money needs to start coming out if you inherited it.
Okay.
What systematic basis you have to take it out based on some life expectancy. If you name your estate, there's no life expectancy. So you generally want to name an individual. Now, if you name a trust, you got to be careful in this. The trust has to be crafted the right way to allow the beneficiaries to do what we call a stretch, which means you don't have to cash it out, pay all the taxes, but the beneficiaries then have the luxury of stretching it out for their lifetime and paying just a little bit of taxes every year as you go along. This is a big mistake that we see folks make, is titling on the beneficiaries.
So that's what I was going to ask you. If you want to do that stretch, if you inherit an IRA, I'm assuming it's legal paperwork. And once you do that, though, essentially it transfers to you?
Well, the other big mistake we see is okay, I inherited the IRA from dad or mom or somebody, and they think, okay, I'm going to roll it over. You've heard the term roll over to avoid the tax. So what they do is they say, send me the money. I have 60 days to roll it over. It's a big mistake. What you want to do is a direct rollover and title it as an inherited IRA.
Okay.
Don't mix it with your IRA. Don't try to set up another IRA. You set it up as an inherited IRA, and then you need to begin withdrawing from it over your life expectancy as a beneficiary. And once again, if you don't take out that required minimum distribution, it's 50% plus the taxes.
It can really help you out, but you have to be
You got to know what you're doing. It is a minefield, but it's a wonderful tool. People need to be using it to the max.
All right, Joe Bert, thanks. Good to see you. Have a good Sunday.
Thanks.
Lauren.